Islam is just an excuse. And what's the argument for Protestantism? I mean, other than not liking it, they just can't find the enemy. It has to be like supposedly there's an enemy on the land who's protecting all the insurgents. Friends don't shun their friends. That's you know like uh, just a crazy idea that they pretend like makes sense. According to their religion, they can tell people that are not members of their church to shun someone. If you don't shun them or you uh, engage in, you have an encounter with them without permission or say something you're not supposed to or without supervision, I guess, uh, then you're under investigation. And it's not a, you know, due process legal kind of investigation. It's like an inquisition. But I I'm a qualified inquisitor, so I already won the damn thing. At this point, they're just terrorists. The reason I've been going through everything is to like explain to you why it wasn't justified to begin with. But none of that matters because your Fuhrer is not here. I'm glad he survived, and I wish him well. Oh, I have no vendetta against him, but you got to understand the person you answer to or they answer to no longer has the authority to persecute me. He's not here. The democratic assertion is out. The religious assertion is out. It's mine. You know what? Why don't we save him a lot of trouble and just say he only has the power to persecute in his home territory? Wouldn't that work for everyone? The Christian church doesn't persecute people. We have a government which prosecutes in matters of spiritual ideological discrepancy. We refer to the expertise and uh, divine inspiration of the Vatican. In matters of medicine, no Greek will argue that the Hippocratic Oath is law. Medicine is conducted in Greek. All the anatomical, chemical, uh, physiological terms are named in Greek base words, roots, suffixes, what have you, for a reason. The Greeks standardized the medical arts, the way that medicine would be provided, and the service, the obligations and responsibilities, diplomacy. Alexander the Great. The reason that we have an alphabet in our language is from the Greek alpha, beta. And that is so simple. That is such a basic concept that the unmistakable similarities between the Greek alphabet and the Hebrew alphabet prove that the Hebrews are Aryan. Moses' symbol was Aries. It was the age of Aries. His interpreter, his confidant, best friend, was Aaron, and their supposedly their staffs had similar powers. Um, which uh, I'm not as thorough as a Hebrew expert, but um, from the perspective, what I know as an Aryan, I can guess that they're downplayed. There is no Aryan race. There is no racist general. These concepts are used to control the peasants. The reason that I rant about the Hospital of Rebellion is that their authority is the same as ours. They're not. I mean, they have expertise. They're trained in healthcare, but they're indoctrinated. They're more brainwashed than anybody else. And anybody else, uh, not going to be familiar with this sort of thing. To them, it's a threat. But sovereignty is real. I don't know what I am. I'm a druid. I know that much. Some people say that's a pagan. Uh, I don't perform human sacrifice or uh, the things that pagans have had a bad rap for. King Arthur, son of Uthor and Igraine, was tutored. He was boarded at a monastery at Anglesey and tutored by Merlin the Wise. He would be taken out of the school because they didn't permit his. But he wasn't teaching him that kind of stuff anyways. He'd take him out of school and teach him about the land, about the nature, about how to survive and provide, how to read signs in the movement of flock, flocks of birds and schools of fish, and what you could learn from the way the animals behaved, and reading signs. They had a standard runic system. They had a special way that they were expected to pass messages, and they were not allowed to disturb a sleeping animal. All these customs and things that don't make sense to a normie. Any Christian, who lives their lives in the kingdoms, it has no need of these things. Don't ask me to name the gods. They're Greek. The Druids were influenced by the Greeks and the Norse. So these were people with advanced understanding of arcane arts and alchemy, and were persecuted for generations. Um, your opinion, like, based on just what you've heard me say, might be that I'm an evil person, and I'm so sorry. Uh, I swear that I don't have um, vindictive nature. It's a matter of honor, duty to the flock. If such terrible things hadn't happened by virtue of my failure to fulfill this vendetta, I would have never found out about it. I didn't know I had enemies. I've never been anybody worth a second look. So all I knew was that I was sick, and I was unfortunate. Um, I dwelt in poor health and poverty for years and years. I didn't have the resources to seek new affiliations, and was less motivated to check in with the people that I love because I didn't want to drag them down. Didn't have anything good to talk about. I wanted to get my shit together, have enough to, uh, you know, first to repay the kindnesses that I'd been shown, and then some, and then to have something where I didn't have to feel self-conscious because from time to time, just in society, just in the community, when you're together, things come up. Most people don't think about spending money. I have an idea. Let's do something that involves paying for it. And I mean, why wouldn't you? Paying for things is it's customary for most people. All I really spend money on is food. So you understand, like, uh, I I'm not one of those people that says, "Well, my life's not fair," so I just take something. I have not had reliable income for a long time. I was deprived of a career on false pretenses. One day, I was excelling. I was thriving. Um, I was optimistic. And the next day, I was unlucky. I was unfunny. My friends were unfriendly, and I didn't know why. Nothing that, no big deal that I could think of, and whatever it was, nobody said anything. But at the time, it must have come up in a meeting or something, and they decided I was a piece of shit. So I don't know what. I mean, well, now I do. I presume the word came down that I was don't ask, don't tell. Well, how do you work with someone like that? They say it's to protect people from persecution, discrimination, but in fact, it's just a way to shun people out, force them to acquiesce because they're worth more AWOL. I mean, I didn't know how much stock had been placed in my failure, so I was like, nobody in the civilized world has time to waste just spying on me. But now I understand, like, it's not just them. So I just wanted to be clear, like, as long as the democracy is represented, I'm fine. My friends are fine. I didn't do anything to justify it. Furthermore, we don't owe the deficit that they say we did. That's why I say give it to Trudeau, because either we assert our right to collect, or he can have it. Someone said I was in on something that supposedly I was in, somehow distinct or separate. My opinion was worth more than the tens of thousands of other people. But I didn't know what impression anybody was under, because these doctors will just do things that are not part of the procedure. The procedure will take place. Your doctor goes about his rounds, and while you're still under sedation, still anesthetized in recovery, someone will come in there. It didn't have to necessarily be a doctor. Someone with access. You heard stories about uh, orderlies and stuff abusing patients at hospital. Well, it wasn't like that, and I guess they just said that to like throw the trail off. But the truth is, they uh, they use that to persecute their betters. They staged a lawsuit because once you're under protection or whatever, like you, you don't have a say. Something bad might could happen, and they took a bunch of money, said the matter was settled, and kept it. They lied to me. They said it was a psychological problem, but they didn't prescribe anything. No therapy, no medication. It's a psychological problem. Just left me uh, injured. I was already reading at a pretty advanced level for first grader, so um, now that I wasn't able to like function like the other kids, just go out whenever, run and play, stay out for a long time. I got good at reading. I got really into video games, and video games where you can read, like where it's mostly text based, you pick up a thing or two, like stuff that's off the beaten path. Uh, Imperial origins, Elizabethan conjugation. So by the time I was 8, I read the Bullfinch's Greek mythology cover to cover, and I absorbed the majority of it. Uh, I remember there was this one incident where I guess my grandfather had slipped out one too many times. Like my mom had no choice. So she brought her friend into it to like put her foot down, basically like humiliated me in front of her friend and tried to teach me a lesson. It didn't work, but that's cool. So eventually, I guess football season started and it just resolved itself. Now, what level of psychology do you think would be qualified to evaluate the foundation? A field of expertise, the skill sets, qualifications that I'm experienced with, built on the foundation as unique as it. I don't know what anybody thinks. I mean, I know I've read some of their mission statements, what they say they're doing. I wonder how cognizant they really are of whatever possible outcome, like what the stipulations are, what it holds a job for so long, and case goes to whatever. If they're lucky, I flip out and make headlines at their new firm. There's been a couple times that like I was unfaithful to my girlfriend, and I apologized at first sight. I didn't let it linger. I didn't dwell on it. I didn't mull it over. Maybe I should tell her. I knew I should tell her. It was the first thing I had to do, for better or worse. I had to tell her. It happened like once, maybe twice. There were times when my steady, we were separated, and that's not cheating. This point here, the event that sounded worse than it was the thing that didn't happen. I've never been married. But I'm an American. I was born in America. We don't acknowledge the assertion that must have been made. So this down here might have been like a screen, but we didn't get married. We never went to church, court, none of that. I've never forged anything. Turnabout is not at play. There's no eye for an eye. I wasn't lying to her. It just didn't work out. It wasn't a betrayal. But for one thing, it was played a certain type of way by various parties, and I don't know the extent of how, you know, involved she was, but I know what she said to me, and I presume that was mostly lies. But what I said to her, there was no deal made. There was no, like, the arrangement was that uh, if she gave me a reason to live, I'd marry her, and she didn't. Lucky to be alive. So the involvement of not the cheaters show that you might see on TV, but I guess they have like, maybe there's like a different crew. Yeah. So they would have done like a different episode, but she ain't got no kids. I ain't got no kids. I've never been married. I don't know anybody else with any young kids than the girl that I was with after her. And like, it's an awful lot of effort to put into me if the thing was supposed to be about her. So it's just about crossing lanes, just about mixing things up, making it as confusing as possible before all hell breaks loose. I should have a right to know how she's doing, how they're doing, how everybody's doing, without having to worry about somebody being like, oh, maybe that's, you know, worth a look, and then go and look and be like, nah, and turn their back, and then whoever's behind them going to make something out of it. And that is presuming the best. That's presuming I don't have somebody stalking me, just going, like, after my friends. For what? What did I say? I said a lot of things. Could have been. So, basically, being an American, born on American soil, under protection for something I didn't know about, but they said it was a psychological problem because they basically just sold me out. Someone is saying I talk too much and punishing dangerous people and blaming me. And you expect me to, what? Sit down and sign something and say, like, oh, please stop. You expect me to join that? I should participate. I should work hard and campaign and try to impress. Maybe I can run for office and be. What? Immune from prosecution. Have some semblance of protection. Now I'm protected by what? The slander bots. There's nothing worth, like, settling for. I see no favorable alternative. Like, there's been no offer. There's been no overture. Friends don't shun their friends. Don't say you're my friend. I mean, I got a bunch of dead friends. Somebody go around calling themselves friends. This day and age. My name is Noel D. Smith, aka whatever you like. I'm not that street. I just lived that life. I don't know what it is about the Catholics that's so tempting that you just can't resist persecuting Catholics. But the stuff that I know about it, it wasn't warranted. Even if I deserved some kind of punishment, like, You punished the people I cared about for asking me anything. What impression were you under? It turns out I was not involved in the incident for which I was being punished. What are the implications? Does your does your church qualify as a religion? You worship a real God or some kind of human sacrifice operation? Is it a human sacrifice racket? Call me an animal if you want. A gentleman will uh, bow, doff his cap, let everybody see his face, and then murder you for a handkerchief, just for the lady's favor. First, do no harm, or you're not a doctor. You're a prince, a priest, a friend.